Okay. Now we're back. Coolio. While you wait for people to actually show up. Let's see if anyone's going to show today. Okay. If I don't get anyone, then we'll skip out. So we'll see. I'm just doing some game stuff while I wait. So far, it looks like it's just me. Do. We are waiting. Morning, Nathan. Good morning. Even though it feels like it is god awful more early than it actually is, time wise, because stupid daylight savings. Okay. And there's still a freaking delay. But whatever. So, okay, awesome. So we have Nathan there. How are you doing this morning? And everything. So awesome. We'll hopefully have. Yeah, no, trust me. I'm in the same boat, as you can probably tell by my bed. I'm not even gonna text Adam Chumley because I will be seeing him in 5 days. Holy crap! I'm seeing Adam Chumley in 5 days. And Daniel. That is exciting. Awesome. So yeah. Um. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and start talking about how to get more malt flavors. And I should have watched the Genus live stream that happened about 3 years ago, but here I am. Doing research today because I decided to go watch Dune was a better response to my time yesterday. Which also means I didn't get home until like 3 a.m. But so, yeah. So talking about how to improve malt flavor. First things first is, well, I'm gonna actually back up. So before you can increase malt flavor in your beers, you have to know the flavor of the malts, in my opinion. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I want more malt flavor without knowing what flavor you're getting out of them in your brew. And honestly, I think that this is an underdone practice. Do smashes or smash adjacent. What a smash is a single malt and single hop. Really lets, especially on base malts, really lets you test out what you're getting. Really lets you control all your variables to a point where it's like you really do get to figure out what the best, what the flavor of the ingredient you're using is. And then once you know what you're tasting, because we can build a beer with 8 different malts and then adjust one and be like, oh, well, I changed this and this. And it's like, okay, did it actually change that? Like, what's the base that we are adjusting from? So I'm a strong believer in you need to know the base of what you're tasting before. And when I say smash adjacent, is for some of those malts that you can't use as base malts, some of those specialty malts. Once you know what your base malt is, then you can do some, oh, I'm going to test out with this malt. I'm going to test out with this malt in addition to my base malt. So once you know what the flavor is that you're looking, the flavor of your malts and your product, and you can do that by tasting. You can make the hop waters. You can make malt, quick malt, just malt teas, um, whatever it is. But once you got the kind of baseline of what your flavor profiles and what your understanding of your product does, the biggest thing I will say to help malt flavor is water chemistry, water chemistry, water chemistry. I am not the best at water chemistry. I will be upfront and honest. I need to work on that. But the water chemistry will, by adjusting what minerals are in your water, chloride, thank you, Daniel, will help boost different flavors. You can adjust them to be more of a well-rounded beer, more hop-forward beer. Like on IPAs, you should be doing water chemistry as well. You really should be doing water chemistry on all beers. Like, that is the number one thing. And you can get, well, let's just go to Amazon right now real quick. What? Amazon's dumb. Okay. pH meter for water. pH kit anywhere from, there's one for $24. Don't get the $12 one or anything below that. But 49, 80. Yeah, so there's quite a few different ones that you can get. pH testing kit. I think you can get a pH testing kit for beer. I just said for water. Oh yeah, tons of different options. Yeah, and so and as Daniel says, water's the thing. You can make good beer without adjusting your water. People have been making good beer without doing water adjustments for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. By adjusting water, and especially to bring out more malt flavor, will just take, and just adjusting water in general, will just take your beer from good beer, maybe some great beers, to a higher quality of beer and actually a higher consistency of beer. My homebrew club president, Hayden, he goes through and he starts all of his beers with RO water and builds up the water chemistry for what he wants. And it's really like when I was working at No Drought, we also used RO water, and I think I only added like four different salts slash minerals, maybe five. So it's really simple, and you can pick in almost every homebrew store, and if they don't, they probably should, has the stuff for water chemistry. So you do have that option, the ability to adjust. Yeah, and as Daniel says, water is historically the huge driver for how styles were made, um, and stuff. So you can really kind of fluctuate and adjust, and especially if you want to make lots of different styles uh, across different ways. Now, when it comes, so that's first and foremost, and chloride is going to be your best friend. Um, Next is, as I mentioned earlier, adjust what malts you're using. Maybe use some biscuit or some Munich. Um, Maybe adjust where that's going to be the next big thing without really um, so adjust what malts you're using to try to mimic the flavors is going to be my next big tip when it comes to getting that more of that malt flavor. So that plays back into the knowing what your ingredients do, being willing to test and everything. There. So yeah, with that, that will be a by being able to adjust your malts by because you know what your malts are, you'll be able to play into more flavors. Like when I did my cookie beers, back years ago now, I really wanted that really nice biscuity flavor, and so I went with I actually found Nick and Golden Oats. And I actually fell in love with them because they do have that really kind of softer biscuity flavor. Um, because it's not biscuit, so you don't get that kind of like, but you get that almost like kind of baked good with Nick and Golden Oats. Um, so I do recommend actually using Nick and Golden Oats as well because it doesn't add a ton of to the alcohol, but it can really help give that kind of biscuity baked flavor that that's when people say malty, that's kind of the flavor I'm thinking of. Is that kind of biscuity baked, sweet without being overly sweet flavor. Also, the key is be really conscientious of what yeasts you're using, because of course yeasts do different things. So just have an understanding of like what your yeast is wanting to do. Would be my next kind of major recommendation. I just heard some dogs making noises downstairs. aka they are awake. Um, but yeah, uh, and everything. And so those are honestly the simple things: is water chemistry, water chemistry, water chemistry. Uh, Maybe adjust what malts to more enhanced malts or more flavorful malts, and then the final thing is to just be really conscientious of the yeast that you're using, because you might not get, and this is a Jimmy question because I just haven't played around with as much, but you might not get as much malt flavor out of a Kvike yeast because it just eats more of the sugar. It just goes to town and just is done. Uh, there. So it really comes down to, and always use more specialty malts, is what Daniel said. Yep, I can agree there. And Daniel, since I think you came in just a second late, the first thing I was saying was do smash beers or smash adjacent beers. So you do a beer with like your base malt and then maybe one specialty malt and the hop and a yeast. Really get to know what your ingredients are, because I think that's actually the biggest downfall of most homebrewers. Besides not doing starters and proper yeast care, um, is the fact that they don't know like exactly what their ingredient tastes like. What is what are they doing with? Um, it's like, do you think a great chef doesn't go through and taste everything that they use in their food? Um, Watch a cooking show, any cooking show. What's the Chopped? What's the first thing they do? They're opening up the ingredients and tasting them. Top Chef, when they go shopping, they're like, oh, can I try this? Can I try that? Especially newer ingredients. We as brewers also need to do that with our ingredients. We really do need to know what malts are we tasting. That's why at some point in time, maybe, and now that I'm a Harvard Homebrew Club, that might actually allow me to do this. Plus, Genus's setup. I wanted to make as many different smoked, the same basic beer, smoked beer, smoked amber, to find out what all the different smokes taste like. Um, I will propose that actually as a homebrew club meeting. But brew it all at the same time and everything, and just get to know your product. And yeah, Daniel, I agree. It's a great way to figure out what you get from a given malt, how much to use in a batch. One of the funnest experiments at previous homebrew club we did was everyone had to do a smash, and like they had some weird smashes. Like we had 100% rye beer, and it was syrup. It was just straight up syrup. It wasn't good. So yeah, you can absolutely learn a lot, and the more you know about your ingredient, the more you can work with it and stuff. Like I used to, like just a quick side, I used to be very anti-style. Like I did not like style. I've now worked for No Drought, which is they try to do as close to style as humanly possible, and then I now have and like doing the Genus live streams, and now doing these live streams and stuff. Being able to do a beer 2 style really tells you what you can do to adjust to make it better, to riff on it, and stuff. So when you are wine a beer that is going to be more malt flavor, what's that's actually a great question. Is what style are you starting off with? Because if you're trying to get a more malty or IPA, why aren't you just doing a pale at that point in time? A West Coast pale. Um, really think about why are you going for what you're going for. I think us as brewers can be a lot more self-conscious about doing this, and it's okay to have those days where it's like, fuck it, I am going to go ahead and uh, brew with these random last bits of grain and hops I have, make a kitchen sink beer. Or, oh, I just feel like playing around with said ingredient today because it's brand new and my shop just got it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a great way to learn. There, so yeah, and yeah, oh god, yeah, it was so gross. It was also stickily sweet. It was just, it's gross. And rye is one of my favorite ingredients to use in beer. I absolutely love using rye. I think rye is a great way to add extra dimension to flavor. So yeah, we're keeping this. It's pretty simple. It's water chemistry, using more malts, or adjusting what malts you use, and being conscientious of your yeast. I like to, I keep it simple there. I know I've gone on a couple tangents, but yeah. Yeah. Uh, Daniel, that's a great way to say I like to overdo it with the new malts. Strictly, won't necessarily like the beer, but you will understand what it does, and you can really dial it in better there. Um, and like, or use the same malt across multiple beers. That's what I did with Naked Golden Oats for my cookie beers. Is I made 4 distinct, unique cookie beers, and the I used Naked Golden Oats across all of those. So I really got to pick out what that brought to the table. And of course, again, I'll get back to do a smash or smash adjacent, like, because honestly, it is also kind of hard to mess up a smash. It may not be the best beer, but it's going to be a good drinkable beer. Most smashes, as long as you don't mess up your process or your technique and stuff, you're going to just have a decent drinkable beer. And especially if you already do have a base malt, or like a house malt, a house yeast, and a house hop that you typically go to, then you can adjust from there, or maybe add just a specialty malt that you're looking at into building that up. So yeah. And Nathan, I think you were the one who asked about that last week, and I hope that kind of helps. I know it's kind of rambly and stuff, but yeah, pick up a pH meter if you haven't. Uh, we we all could. I could get people on here to nerd about water chemistry all day long. Um, Pretty much every professional brewer I know has a pH kit. It might still be like that $80 one they picked up when they were homebrewing. As long as you make sure it's calibrated and everything, and you just check, you are going to have, and then get a water report on what your water looks like. You are going to instantly increase the quality of your beer. There, by just adding a few salts here and there, or a few maybe a little bit of acid here if you want to go for, say, it's a little bit more acidic. Or basic. Let's see. So about 5.2 is where most, I think most, for a city, is where most maltier beers kind of hang out. Hoppier, you want to go a little bit higher to 5.4, but yeah. The pH is going, I would say, about 5.2 based off the research I'm doing for a maltier beer. So yeah, well, while we kill some more time and stuff, does anyone have any questions? Or does Daniel just want to talk about his upcoming trip in 5 days? Because I am happy. I think we kind of bashed the maltier beers over the head. Oh, and I did forget to mention all those kind of tips that we were talking about are ways to get maltier beers without bumping up your ABV. Because you don't need to just be like, I'm just throwing more malt at it. Yes, that works, but that's not necessarily the best answer. Because you still want to be able to enjoy your beer and you want your yeast to be happy. I personally love darkness. I think that darkness really does have helps create that kind of rich, toasty, caramely character when it comes to maltier beers. And yes, I have used darkness in non-stouts before. In beers where I do want that kind of roastier or more biscuit flavor. I think that it's a great workhorse of a beer. Daniel, do you have a particular favorite yeast for maltier beers? Oh, and Daniel Patrick Sandy says he is sorry that he has missed the last couple live streams. His life just is not conducive to being at the live streams this early in the morning. And yes, I'm drinking Athletic Wit again because I've been on a wit kick. Scottish Ale is also a good one. I one of my not 0206. One of the things that 28. Okay, awesome. Um, I know one of the things I need to do at some point in time is sit down and build a good Scottish ale recipe for one of my friends, and then brew it. Um, she she worked with she's one of the beer tenders at No Drought, and she likes her Scottish ale that they currently have at No Drought that they made that was kind of inspired by her. But she's not. It's not exactly what she was looking for. So I need to really sit down and that's actually I think what I'll make next week's episode, depending on how I feel. Since in the next week or two we'll have an episode on Scottish ales because I feel like that's going to be a good thing to have. There. So, but yeah, no, Scottish ale yeast, I would also agree. So pretty much most yeasts, I would say, are designed in darker beers. And there's a Jimmy J! Jimmy, we are talking about how to get more malt flavor in beer, and I kind of recommended not using Kvikes. um, I did say that a little bit joking, but also in some seriousness of that. But yeah, um, and everything. So, but yeah, and now we're just kind of just doing a general Q&A for the last several minutes because I had a late start today. Thanks to both daylight savings time and the fact that thanks to daylight savings time, I got home at 3 a.m. after watching Dune last night. So coffee is going to be my best friend in a little bit. But yeah. Yeah, no, I really want to play around with Scottish ales and like understand the style and explore it. I think that's going to be very important. There. Oh, okay. So Jimmy, what's your favorite malt? Oh, and I'm glad I got a good confirmation about Muscovite, as Jimmy is kind of our not kind of. Jimmy is the Kvike expert I know of. He has done more work with Kvikes than pretty much any homebrewer I know. Locally. Actually, I know because I don't know anyone that's done more personally. I'm sure there are, but yeah, Jimmy, what's your favorite malt and why? Daniel, also, what's your favorite malt and why? And Nathan, if you're still watching, what's your favorite malt and why? We're talking about malts. We're talking about maltier beers. I will say my favorite base malt is going to be my favorite base malt's probably I like using a Pilsen. I really do. Malt. I actually really do like the Baroness Pills. I can't tell you exact. I think it's because it's such a light. Like it really doesn't. It really lets the other malts kind of really play and stuff. I feel when using it as a base. So I do really like to use pills. There. Now my favorite non base malt is either going to be Naked Golden Oats or I love chocolate rye. I really do like, as I said, I like my ryes, but those a rye or an oat, the Naked Golden Oats, excuse me, there. Crisp best ale, nice English pale malt. Specialty is DRC. It tastes like raisins. Cereal, both and raisin bran. Oh, very nice. And I am sure that in the near future you'll be using a lot of English pale. At least I'm going to assume you're going to use a lot of English pale, but I do not know what the brewery's plans are. So, but yeah, and if you are watching this video later, please leave your favorite malt in the comments. I'm gonna Scritz Bear and Purple Egyptian. Oh, okay. I have not played around with Purple Egyptian enough. That is a malt that I would love to play around more with. Um, so for those of you who don't know, Purple Egyptian is an ancient grain that is with the that Link Maltz has worked with a farmer to help bring back and produce. And Daniel says he tends to put chocolate wheat in a lot of copper beers these days. Yeah, no, I know I mentioned the chocolate. Like I just chocolate rye is just I because it adds that sweet chocolatey, and then adds that little bit of spiciness. I should probably make a Mexican hot chocolate lager at some point in time, or not a lager, a Mexican hot chocolate stout. sometime point in time. But yeah, and it's good to know that Skirt Spare and Purple Egyptian are both 6 row. I know that Brulosophy did an episode about what the difference what the difference between 2 row and 6 row are, and I actually did like flavor again. I think they might have done a smash or a pale ale or something simple. Again, me getting back on my let's do a smash beer train. So yeah. Sorry, I am still waking up today. And yet I've been live for 35 minutes. So that tells you how my day's going. Not only did I lose an hour of sleep, I went to bed way later than I was supposed to. But Dune 2 was so good. Okay, mini rant. Dune 2, if you haven't seen it, go see it. Go see Dune 1 and then go see Dune Part 2. So good. Like, arguably, it's one of the best films I've ever seen. So, there's my mini rant. I actually don't feel you need to read the book to go see Dune and Dune Part 2. I think you'll have a deeper appreciation, but I actually really don't think you need to read them because I think they do a good enough job of setting up the story and the world that you don't, and it's different than the book. They have made very select changes. Excuse me. To the book, to the story, and I feel that the changes work for the medium they're using. So, but yeah. So that's that. Um, yeah. Let's see. Any other questions before I decide if I'm gonna wrap it up and head to tea early today? Because I think we kind of nailed the topic over the head multiple times. Here. Give a second because the delay. Get that tea. Oh, and Daniel, I did text Adam about doing tea one of on Saturday probably, and he said that he'd probably be down. So yeah, we can absolutely figure that all out and go from there. So I think I'll be wrapping up. Jimmy, I will be texting you about next weekend, seeing if we can steal you away from the fam. Um, Here, and then Daniel, I will obviously be seeing you next weekend. uh, Along with with a Chumley who I didn't bother texting today because he lost an hour's sleep and he has kids, so good luck to him. On everything. And Nathan, I hope I answered that question. And either we'll talk about Scottish ales next week, or I will talk about something else, or I will not have a live stream, or might have an early morning live stream. I don't know. We'll figure it out because next weekend is busy. So, okay, well, thank you so much, and you have all have a great rest of your day.